Thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm Bo Bounds with Blake Scott, and Locked On Mississippi State is brought to you by FanDuel. Here's what we're going to hit today. Little MSU baseball back on the winning track. Blake Mania is excited about that. Offensive coordinator Kevin Barbay stops by to talk Will Rogers in the Mississippi State offense and how that will look. And then we debate whether or not we could finish the 9-dog challenge. 9 hot dogs in 9 innings.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Blake Scott, Mississippi State baseball back on, well, I don't want to say back on track, but they won, and Jurrangelo Cijntje, their amphibious / ambidextrous pitcher.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Had a hell of an outing, and Dakota Jordan and Ross Highfield, some other true freshmen, were also a big part. So I think I know 24 hours isn't a lot of time, but there's a little more optimism.
Well, what do you say other than wow about the freshman kind of experience the last 2 days for Mississippi State? I know Bradley Lofton didn't get the win. The rest of your team fell apart, but he was fantastic Tuesday night. And then you follow that up with another freshman who, by the way, struck out guys with his right hand and his left hand in the same inning.
Incredible.
I've watched baseball I'm 31 years old. I've watched baseball my entire life. I know we've had guys do this before, but we've never seen it this close and personal, right? It's never been like, oh, he's in my backyard. This is a team that we talk about, we cheer for, we root for. Jurrangelo Cijntje, he didn't take college baseball by storm. He took baseball by storm yesterday. Everyone was talking about Jurrangelo Cijntje.
Expand on that. Tell people what was going on Twitter.
So
like with the ninja and stuff.
Pitching Ninja, who, if you follow baseball, Pitching Ninja's become huge. John Boy Media, who's a Yankees guy, but has been a huge baseball influencer, right? We talk about influencers all the time. Stephen Schock, former Virginia pitcher who played against Mississippi State in their national title run in Omaha.
He's a wild man.
He's become an influencer in baseball. They all basically said one thing, which is, are we watching a unicorn? I mean, who is this kid that's throwing 98 right-handed and then turning around a batter later and throwing 96 left-handed with wipeout sliders on both sides of the ball? And I thought the coolest piece, and we're going to have so much time to dive into this over the course of this season because this was his first start, right? And it will be the first of many starts. The coolest piece to me was watching Pitching Ninja break down Jurrangelo's pitching mechanisms. He's identical from both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
right-handed and left-handed is almost identical. I know pitchers, some on Mississippi State staff, who can't repeat the same mechanism pitch to pitch with the same hand. Let alone,
I can't even enunciate words the same way twice.
Jurrangelo's incredible. I mean, he's incredible. So what else do you say?
Right.
What else do you say?
Dakota Jordan, 474 feet.
It's the farthest ball I've ever seen hit at Mississippi State. I'd have to go back and look at Nick, the kid from Notre Dame, that hit that bomb in the Super Regional. Outside of that hit, I don't know anything that's been hit harder than or farther than Dakota Jordan.
Somebody like Charlie Winfield would know, like right off the top of his head, if the Notre Dame dudes was a lot further. But the bottom line is Dakota Jordan with the bomb, 474, and Ross Highfield with 2 doubles, true freshman.
Yeah, and Slate Alford added a 460-foot home run.
That's right.
We talked about this on yesterday's show. The power is evident. This is not John Cohen baseball. Like, let's be very clear. Let me look into the camera. It's not John Cohen baseball. This is not bunt the guy over and score. This is what do we call it in the 90s? Gorilla ball? LSU ball?
LSU and Skip Bertman.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's a different era in start. Now, we'll see if it works. But what you saw yesterday is a team that can hit the baseball.
Yeah, I think it will work. Their lineup, for the most part, will be really, really good. Bo Bounds, Blake Scott, Locked On Mississippi State, brought to you by FanDuel. Mississippi State with a win over La Monroe. And so that's back-to-back days that true freshmen started and were phenomenal. So that's...
Are they the weekend starters? I mean, let's just go to what everyone's talking about.
So a month from now will be March 23rd. I would bet a lot of money that one or both are weekend starters. I'd bet a ton of money that one is.
Would it be safe to say that they will both be big factors on the weekend, even if they don't start, right?
No doubt.
I mean, to me, we talked about this off air.
I'd give both of them one game.
I get it. Like, go Bradley Lofton into Cijntje or vice versa, basically.
No, I'd say, hey, y'all are going to have game one.
That's what I'm
together.
saying. So Bradley starts, and then Cijntje comes in after Bradley.
Yes, exactly.
Something, or vice versa.
Yes.
Based on matchups. I don't know how you don't watch the first 5 games of the season and go, your 2 most talented pitchers pitched on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Cade Smith is good, and I wish I was good at SEC ball. Described like that. That was never the description of me in play. And Landon Gartman looks like he could be really good. But these two on another level. Now, we're also getting carried away.
It's ULM.
It's ULM, and everybody gets humbled in the league. And when you're getting ripped to shreds in the 3rd inning on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you got to have that stuff. And Cade Smith and Landon Gartman have been through more wars.
So
we're having fun with this. We don't believe by any stretch, and I'll tee you up on this, that Cijntje and Lofton are like going to blaze through the league by any stretch.
The chances of them having the Hunter Elliott freshman year are slim to none.
Yes.
Because that's such a rare occurrence. I mean, let's look, JT Ginn in Starkville.
He was good.
He was really good. If they got
good.
even close to that, that'd be great. That still isn't winning you Friday nights every time.
Not many of them. You're right. I think maybe Holloman at Ole Miss, but I don't remember if he went as a freshman. Now, Paul Mahallam and Hunter Elliott and JT Ginn as freshmen
were fantastic.
Right, those are outliers, but they were amazing.
The odds of you putting that level of performance on the field in terms of production is very difficult.
But Lofton and Cijntje have played on big stages in big select travel ball settings against unbelievable talent. So they may be one or both may be able to pull it off at some point.
It's incredible. So we weren't on the air. Obviously, we just started this show yesterday, but
and they had fires.
Jurrangelo Cijntje didn't make it to the majors because of one reason. Major League staffs wanted him as a shortstop, not as a pitcher. You saw what I saw yesterday. I think there's some MLB teams going, oh, maybe we should have taken a flyer on this kid.
Mississippi State was lucky because his dad wanted the absolute right offer and situation because he understands Major League Baseball, and because of that, Lamonas, Foxhall, and Gotro benefited. And you are exactly right, Blake. Lofton and Cijntje are 2 of the most talented guys they've had. Maybe since Paul Mahallam showed up as a freshman.
Yeah.
Not that Ethan Small and Dakota and Hudson and so many others have been, Bednar have been really, really good. But I'm talking about guys that can at least give you a chance on the weekend.
It's easy to forget Landon Sims got shellacked his freshman year when he first started pitching.
Right.
And it was the COVID-shortened year. Things got messed up, so he didn't pitch a lot. But it's easy to forget that guys don't walk onto campus the stars that we think they are. And so I'm with you. It was a fantastic day for Mississippi State, but it was ULM. You better repeat it.
Coming up next, offensive coordinator Kevin Barbay, Mississippi State, stops by to talk Bulldogs offense. And do you want me to drop a little FanDuel?
Let's do it.
Locked on Mississippi State, brought to you by FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here. Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets. Back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. All right, and that's what Blake and I are going to do with the NBA and March Madness right around the corner. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kevin Durant, now at Phoenix, and we've got March Madness. It's going to be crazy what happens with SEC teams. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Kevin Barbay on the Out of Bounds show, MSU offensive coordinator. So Will Rogers, you're inheriting Will Rogers, and he started over 30 games as an SEC QB. And I would venture to guess you probably never inherited a guy with that much experience, but maybe you did at App State or Central Michigan. What's Kevin Barbay's approach as you and Will start to build this thing this spring, knowing that you've got a guy that's had this many reps at the SEC level? What's Kevin Barbay's approach?
Yeah, I mean, he from the moment that I've gotten here has been overly eager to get in here and learn the system. And, my approach with him is spend as much time as possible teaching him every little detail of the offense. And, I think anytime that you have a kind of a new system coming in, it's exciting for guys. And, he's obviously he's had a great career to this point, and he's, been coached phenomenal his whole life, so now I'm just getting to add on to the layers and give him, a little bit different approach of, how we go through progressions in this offense, and really just breaking down every little detail. And it's fun when you inherit guys that have a lot of experience, because you can kind of talk the same lingo, and you can ask, hey, well, what do you think? Well, what do you see here? Well, what do you like here? And, I think we're quickly building that relationship and that comfort level of trusting him and what he sees, and, the directions that he needs to go with his progressions. My impressions of Will so far, he is a leader by example. I mean, he gets out there and he busts his tail in the morning mat drills. I think he's got a great level of toughness. And really in the quarterback position, we can sit there and everybody can analyze how strong your arm is or how this or how that. Man, at the end of the day, the single most important factor is leadership. And he's got that. And, I couldn't be more excited. I've enjoyed, being around him in this short amount of time, but, really diving in trying to, like I said earlier, invest in his life and really take him to the next level in teaching him a new offense.
You're listening Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're visiting with Kevin Barbay. Unbelievable story on his first 24 hours as the Mississippi State offensive coordinator. Coach joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So I know coaches hate this. What offense, what defense do you run? Because coaches don't like to be cornered, and y'all do so many things, multiple, this, that, and the other. But so how would you describe ideally what you want to do other than score touchdowns on offense?
Yeah. Describing it ideally, I would say that I am a balanced attack guy. I do believe in running the football, and running the football sets up your play actions. And, to me, it's all about protecting the football and creating explosives. And your explosives are created by being able to run the football. I think from a balance standpoint, where you're able to run the ball, you're able to take shots with play action, you're able to complete some drop back stuff, you're screening, and you're given a bunch of different personnel groups and multiple formations and motions and, a bunch of dressing. But on the same token, you want to make it as simple as possible for your guys and the guys that are executing on offense. So, I would call it, multiple. But really, Bo, at the end of the day, and you guys have heard me say this before, but, you got to evaluate, right, who your best 11 guys are.
Sure.
And you got to get them on the field. And you got to figure out what are the things that this individual does good, right? What are the things that, this other guy does good? A running back and a receiver and maybe a tight end, they all do things that are a little bit different, but you can create explosives with a bunch of different guys. So really figuring out what your guys can do and putting them in the best positions. And then you formation and motion and shift to try to get your guys in the best alignment to take advantage of the defense's weaknesses.
So as you and Will Rogers work together, we're visiting with Kevin Barbay. As you and Will Rogers work together, when I read the book Peyton and Breeze, it talked about how Sean, they would put things together, put game plans together, go through things, and finally Sean Payton would go, Drew, what do you like? What do you, out of everything what do you like as we go into this matchup, or what do you like is that something that you do with your quarterback, coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in situational football, when you're talking about high red and third downs, I'm always, asking the quarterbacks, okay, let's go through these 7 concepts here and let's talk about them. Let's rank them. What do you like or what do you not like, right? What do you not feel comfortable with? And those are the things that you got to eliminate and throw out. But I think the key is explaining the why in everything that you do. And when you explain why we are running this concept, right, whether it's a man coverage beater or a cover 2 beater or, whatever it is, maybe it's a blitz beater. This is the reason why we're doing it, and this is why it's going to work. Guys get a much better appreciation of, the concept of the play and why we're doing things. So I believe with Will, I can already tell, he's a very intelligent young man.
Sure.
And knows a lot of ball. And he is a guy that, I will go through and let him have, his ownership in the offense and his opinions. And, there'll be times where I go, hey, look, we have to run this in order to get this matchup and, run this concept. But, I think that only creates ownership and, more investment in the quarterback when you give them a little bit of leeway to make decisions, what they like and what they don't like.
Okay. Kevin Barbay, Mississippi State offensive coordinator for Zach Arnett and the crew. He'll be coaching Will Rogers, Mike Wright, among others. Justin Robinson, Tulu, list goes on and on. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So you mentioned tight end. I know y'all didn't have a lot. The system hasn't had a tight end the last few years, and now that'll be a little bit of a transition, and you haven't had a lot of time. Y'all landed a dude from Georgia, and you may, spot another athlete that you feel like you could play there. What would you like to see? How would you like to use a tight end in the Kevin Barbay offense?
That's a great question. I like having, kind of 2 different types of tight ends, right? And I like having a big inline guy that's, almost like an extra tackle that can really, create a new line of scrimmage and drive guys, move guys off the ball. But I also think it's really important that you have a more athletic guy that might be able to insert on linebackers or slice back across the formation, use him in the RPO game, get him in the flats, just a bigger athlete that, can seal edges for you, but can also, help you in the pass game and specifically the RPO game, where, when you're calling runs and they overload the box and there's too many guys in there, then you're taking advantage of an overloaded box and slipping it out to the tight end, whether that be in the flat or vertical downfield or on a corner. So to me, the tight end position is the most versatile position on the field because, you want, as big a athletes as you possibly can get. And, again, every year, every tight end has different strengths, and part of spring ball is discovery mode and finding out, what it is that this guy does good and how we can utilize him. And like I said, everybody is got a different skill set, so we'll play to whatever their strength is.
We just had a listener text us that you need a Travis Kelce type tight end. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, if Kelsey wants to come on, man, tell him to, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought that was
I do.
profound.
That's a great analogy, and I mean, obviously he's a phenomenal player,
Sure.
But that's what we are looking for, right? Is big athletes. They're going to have to block some defensive ends. The guys that aren't as big and don't do that as well. We're not going to ask them to do those things. We're going to ask them to block linebackers and safeties, and so there's two types of different tight ends, but I really, earlier when I said about finding the best 11, heck, you might have, 3 running backs that are in your best 11, and you put those guys on the field somehow, some way.
Sure.
To me, it's about not just staying in one single personnel group. It's finding how the best 11 in this personnel group function in this personnel group. Whether that be 2 running backs in this personnel, whether that be 1 here and 4 wideouts, whether that be 2 tight ends and 1 running back, and then just kind of having a bunch of different packages within all of those.
Boom. Thanks again for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every day with Bo Bounds and Blake Scott. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place, plus hear from big name experts and insiders, coaches and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. Bo Bounds, Blake Scott, Locked On Mississippi State for you. And here we go. So we've talked about Mississippi State baseball today and these freshman phenoms. Cijntje, Lofton, Dakota Jordan, Ross Highfield, among others. Also, Blake and I visited with Kevin Barbay.
He's good.
Yeah, he's good. Kevin Barbay, offensive coordinator at Mississippi State. You can tell how excited he is to work with Will Rogers. They're going to have a tight end in the offense, and he talked about that on the episode, and we were super excited for him to come by and hang out. And, of course, he got right into it. He didn't even sugarcoat it. It's all about explosive plays. It is all about explosive plays. And he actually said the run game creates explosive plays.
Ooh.
So you've gone from Mike Leach throwing the ball 80+% of the time, if not 90, and to you're going to shift a little bit more to running. I don't think it's going to be crazy, but and he talked about eye candy and doing a lot of different things before the snap, because why not? And then one thing that he emphasized was he's going to find the 11 best players to play, offensive linemen and skill people. So Kevin Barbay's already had a successful career. He's young, kind of an up-and-comer, and boom, he's at Mississippi State. And his story about Will Rogers was, his story about Wyatt Rogers, Will's dad, who is a football coach at Brandon High School, picking him up at the airport when he first flew in and then driving him to the Delta and then meeting a bunch of coaches, Zach Arnett and Brad Peterson included, and then them ending up at a duck camp deep into the Delta that night to make sure Will Rogers, QB1, was okay with everything, was great. Now, Blake, you also want to discuss, we debated a little bit before the show and want to get into this because it's college baseball season. People are talking about beer and wings and hot dogs and peanuts and all the things that we do. And because Ole Miss and Mississippi State baseball, along with LSU and Arkansas, are massive, and 3 of those teams have national championships, I didn't know anything about this, but you found a dude last night, Brooks Bryant,
Yeah.
who completed the 9-dog challenge, which I'd never heard of.
Nope.
9 hot dogs in 9 innings, and you've done the 9-dog challenge too.
In my younger years, when I was a more svelte, sleek, there's a reason the camera stops chest high. We don't want to go any lower. The 9-dog challenge is what winners are made of. And so, look, we talked about this yesterday. Mississippi State baseball was struggling. Let's not pretend that a win over ULM just suddenly made the rainbows come out. It's still going to be a long season. But you have to be committed. And Mississippi State student, senior student, Brooks Bryant, is committed. He decided he was going to go got that dog in him, and ate 9 hot dogs, 1 an inning, for 9 innings in order to propel Mississippi State baseball to a win over ULM. And it made me ask the question, well, twofold. One, do I care about anything as much as Brooks Bryant cared about Mississippi State baseball yesterday to eat 9 hot dogs? It's true. But secondly, is could I do that? I know you couldn't eat 9 hot dogs.
Hell no, I couldn't.
I don't. How many hours would it take you to eat 9 hot dogs?
God, that's a great question.
1 an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you would be uncomfortable, but you could get it done.
I could get it done.
Yeah. 9.
You're right. It would take me a full day.
Yeah. 9 hot dogs in what? 4 hours max?
How many do you think now? You did it at 22 with the Houston Astros
about 10 years
game.
ago. Yeah.
Do you think you could do it today, or how long would it take you?
I'm going to say I'd get about 4 or 5 in, and I'd be in trouble.
You'd be miserable.
I think so.
And Brooks Bryant doesn't look like he weighs more than 150 pounds.
Soaking wet, right? Yeah, he's not a big kid. But
he's at Duty Noble Field last night watching Mississippi State play baseball.
Where they got beat by ULM. Not beat, but like waxed on Tuesday. Waxed.
And he's doing the 9-dog challenge. The only thing that I have to call Brooks out on, and now he's a VIP on the show, is on Locked On Mississippi State with Bo Bounds and Blake Scott, brought to you by FanDuel, is Brooks, dude, you have to do this again at some point.
Yes.
You got to drink beer.
Yeah, he screwed up. He's told us that he drank 2 Sprites and a water. And I'm going, are you a scrub? Like, you'll eat 9 hot dogs, but you couldn't. We all know that if you drink beer with hot dogs, the hot dogs go down easier. I mean, how many of us have been anywhere and drank beer and gone, this food goes down easy?
I'm going to Starkville tomorrow to the game.
Yeah.
Against Arizona State.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a beer and a hot dog to start the game off.
I expect video. I expect footage.
Cold beer.
Yeah.
That's one word in the state of Mississippi.
Cold beer.
Cold beer. And a hot dog, and I'll send some footage out.
Yeah.
And that'll be like the first meal for Locked On Mississippi State, brought to you by FanDuel.
That's a smart play. I like it. And we'll have plenty to get into tomorrow as we break down the Arizona State series.
Yeah.
And Mississippi State has a monster game in basketball at home against A&M. But before we get into all that tomorrow for preview, real quick before we wrap up this episode of Locked On Mississippi State, you mentioned 2 things off the Kevin Barbay interview that I really liked, but there was another word that I thought was interesting. It's a word that Mississippi State fans in football have struggled with. That's the B word. It's not what you call your wife when she's getting mad at you. It's balance. That's right. It's balance. Kevin Barbay used the word balance. Bo, we throw the ball 90% of the time in Starkville, baby. We're the air raid. What's balance?
Well, you are going to see some more carries with Woody Marks and Simeon Price, and the transfer possibly from Hines Community College at running back. But I think Simeon Price and Woody Marks are going to be happy with what Kevin Barbay does on offense, but I also think Will Rogers is too, because it's going to make that pass rush a little more honest.
That's right.
With play action.
Absolutely.
And adding a tight end, to just give you a little more, some more wrinkles, more toys for Will Rogers to play with.
You're looking for anything to give you an edge.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines, they asked Sean McVay about this after the Super Bowl that the Rams won, what feels like a lifetime ago, but was just 2 years ago. He talked about motion and how much motion they use in the Rams offense. And if you make a defender think, you're ahead.
Absolutely.
If they're thinking, you're winning. And that's something that, as much as we all loved Mike Leach and what he brought to the table, and Lord knows we've had a million conversations, without Mike Leach, you're still back in the Stone Ages.
No doubt.
So that will never go away. But adding a new wrinkle, it just makes you a little more dangerous. And why wouldn't, if you're going into battle, why wouldn't you want as many bullets in the chamber as you got, right? You want as much ammunition as you can have.
I think everybody's going to be happy. We're excited that to see what Kevin Barbay does, offensive coordinator at Mississippi State. Bo Bounds, Blake Scott, Locked On Mississippi State, brought to you by FanDuel. And guys, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. And for your second listen, check out our brand new product, Locked On College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Anthony Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, hear from big name experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts.